So this one's probably going to get some feathers flying, but it's all good. Relax. This is just my opinion and my assessment on how I see things. So let's talk baby boomers and their parents. Let's talk baby boomers' parents first. They were in a box. They were in a line. They were in order. Think Industrial Revolution and military. Those two things are leading. Industrial Revolution, military, okay? They think life was way better back then. Okay, we got it. It was way better. But just like a well-functioning machine, when a machine is not stepping out of line and everything is in order, you see what I'm saying? The machine runs better and there's less friction. So life was better back then because nobody stepped out of line. Because if you stepped out of line, you got the crap beat out of you. Things like that. You didn't step out of line back then, our baby boomers' parents. And understand this. They were literally tunnel vision. They were not allowed to think things outside the box. They were not allowed to be outside of that box. They were literally in a box. The radio and the TV only had so many stations and channels. That's what they had. That's what they lived by. They had the newspaper. It's all propaganda. It was all propaganda. And it was a lot easier to propagandize those good little citizens that came from this Industrial Revolution military style background that usually, I'm going to get a little deep here, came from repopulation of cities and orphan trains, etc. Mostly orphans. So you have this, the baby boomers' parents were the orphans, and then the baby boomers' parents are still these military-like, industrial setting-like, you don't get out of line and the machine works great, you don't step out of line, you don't get out of order. Then the baby boomers come along. They have those characteristics because those are their parents, and their parents try to instill those characteristics in them. So you have these baby boomers that are naturally trying to rebel from this for the first time ever, and the hippie movement was actually kind of great. There were some organic, accidental things that happened when psyops and mind control was happening, through deep ABC entities. We're not going to get into that, but psychedelics created a system to where the hippies actually connected with nature and each other on accident, and it was organic. But then it was infiltrated, it became inorganic, and it got ruined and controlled really fast. So there was some beautiful things about the hippie movement, but they still had, outside of that and their rebelling, they literally only acted like their parents. And then they gave academics, academics have always been, they're very academic oriented. Academics. Rockefeller Foundation, Rockefeller indoctrination camps. The baby boomers have always been obsessed with the academics. It's just another strong form of propaganda and mind control. So you have the baby boomers' parents who never got out of line, and then the baby boomers did the exact opposite with their hippie movement, but that got controlled and redirected really quick. In academics, the baby boomers still don't let go of academics, and there was still only so many channels. The baby boomers only had so many channels. I don't care if the baby boomers had 200 channels when it came out. That's only 200 channels, okay? So there's a reason why they can't communicate well with their parents, and then why we can't communicate well with our parents, okay? It's always a drastic shift, and as technology changes and increases, these systems, these economical and these social systems change. And so think millennials and younger. I had the internet when I was a kid. Think the internet when I was a kid. I was on insane websites that I shouldn't have been on as a kid, okay? So we have endless information coming from all angles. My great-grandparents and grandparents were literally in a box. Literally in a propaganda box. Parents were in a propaganda box and an academic box. Total psyops constantly. We have no freaking box. Endless information coming from all different directions and chaos. And just like Alex Jones's channel, it's InfoWars. He's got a great coin term there. And so there's actually now these kids, and from the millennials younger, there is actually no direction, but only planted and targeted misdirection. So literally, there's no connection between parents and kids anymore, hardly at all, and there's only planted misdirection. So everybody from millennials kind of forward have no direction but misdirection. But the direction beforehand was literally, none of it was organic, and it was all literally structured, very military industrialization like and academic like, and it was always controlled. It's always about control, controlling the populations. So if you don't understand how strong propaganda is and where it comes from, there's nothing new under the sun. But just understand, the baby boomers and their parents are different from each other, and you're different from your parents. And this is why you can't correlate and relate to one another a lot, and why everybody's arguing and everybody knows everything. We have endless information, but we have to figure out how to organize it and find direction. And usually organically and natural, sacred, divine ideas are always better. They're going to lead you in a better direction. So people just need to learn how to connect with nature again first, just by, say, grounding, things like grounding. And we all need to learn how to resonate together a lot, kind of like the hippie movement, but a lot less just drug, psychedelic, no rules kind of stuff. It needs to be a lot more, we'll call it spiritual and holy, a little more classy, when we reconnect with nature and then reconnect and begin to resonate with one another. But if you don't choose your direction, if you don't find your own direction, and it's not organic and it's not something sacred and divine and beautiful, it's probably a planted, targeted psyop. It's probably a planted direction. They got you into a career that they wanted you to get into because of constant advertising, okay? Everything we do is usually an inorganic choice. But try to figure out what is in between an organic choice and an inorganic choice. Because all the way back to our grandparents to right now, most of what I see, everything out there is inorganic. And so see if you can figure out how to think organically and resonate with your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, whatever it may be. That's my rant for the day. Peace.